नमस्कार दोस्तों, क्वींस पार्क ओवल में हिस्टोरिक टेस्ट मैच खेला जाने वाला है। विराट कोहली का 500वां इंटरनेशनल, भारत और वेस्ट इंडीज़ के बीच 100वां टेस्ट मैच, ऐतिहासिक लम्हा। और शायद इस लम्हे को एड्रेस करने के लिए राहुल द्रविड़ इंडियन कोच से बेहतर कोई कैंडिडेट नहीं हो सकता था। और राहुल द्रविड़ आए, उन्होंने बातचीत की और कई मुद्दों पर आपको ये पूरी बातचीत देखनी होगी। कई मुद्दों पर आप विराट कोहली से उनके किस तरह के संबंध है, विराट कोहली ने स्टार्ट किया था एज ए यंगस्टर, ओ में रहते थे, अब वो दोस्त की तरह से बात करते हैं। उस रिलेशनशिप में विराट का जो फॉर्म को लेकर लोग जो चर्चा कर रहे हैं कि वो पहले की तरह डोमिनेंट बैट्समैन नहीं है, उनकी क्या राय है, एज ए बैटिंग कोच वो किस तरह से देखते हैं। इसके अलावा आप लोग का जो एक टॉपिक है कि भारत पाकिस्तान के 3 मुकाबले होंगे एशिया कप में, उस पर कितना एक्साइटेड है टीम और वो क्या कोई बदलाव होंगे। आपको बता दूं, उन्होंने हिंट दे दिया कि नहीं बदलाव होंगे, क्यों नहीं होंगे वो बताएंगे। पिच के बारे में उन्होंने कहा। तो तमाम बातें टेस्ट मैच से पहले जितनी इंपॉर्टेंट बातें हो सकती है वो देखिए, लेकिन आपको पूरा वीडियो देखना है और लाइक और सब्सक्राइब करना है। तो शुरुआत विराट कोहली के क्वेश्चन से। राहुल भाई, विराट कोहली का भी ये 500वां गेम है, बिग माइलस्टोन इस हिस्टोरिक ओकेजन में। ओवर द लास्ट फ्यू मंथ्स में देखें आपका काफ़ी इंटरेक्शन होता है बैटिंग को लेकर, और ही इज़ वेरी इन द लाइटर मूड, बोथ ऑफ यू हैव सीन दैट when Virat, someone like Virat, we have out from outside look, he's not at his dominant best, but still getting so many runs. So, as a batting legend yourself, you have seen a lot of great players have gone through that stage. Putting aside his ego and then just playing this kind of game, how would you just explain that?
Yeah, I think Virat, I mean, I didn't know that this is his 500th game, so I'm not a great one for numbers, but it's great to hear that. And I think it's fantastic. I think he's a real inspiration to so many players within this team, without a doubt, and to so many people, boys and girls back home in India. And obviously his numbers and his stats, they speak for themselves. His performances, it's all there in the books. It's all there. But I think for me, it's just what's been great to see and been great to see firsthand is just the effort and the work that he puts in behind the scenes when no one is watching. And I think that is reflected in the fact that he's been able to play 500 games. He's still going very strong, very fit. The energy and enthusiasm that he brings to the game, in spite of playing 500 games and being around here for 12, 13 years now, I think that's, it's truly fantastic. And that's not come easy. That's come because of a lot of hard work behind the scenes, a lot of sacrifices that he has made through his career, and he's willing to continue to make. And I think that's something that is great for a coach, because you can see a lot of the young players will look to that and be inspired by that. You don't have to say anything, but just by the way you conduct yourself, the way you carry yourself, the way you go about practices, the way you go about your fitness, becomes an inspiration for a lot of other young players who are coming through the system, and hopefully they follow that, and they are inspired like Virat to play so many games. So longevity comes with a lot of hard work, discipline, adaptability, and he's shown all of that. So long may it continue.
पर भाई जस्ट थोड़ा सा इसी में लाइट वेट में बहुत ज़्यादा मजाक करते हैं। विराट जब यंगस्टर थे, आप आइकॉन थे, तो क्या अब कितना कंफर्टेबल है? जस्ट लाइक फ्रेंड, आई हैव सीन दैट, उस पर कुछ बात करेंगे?
Yeah, I mean, it's really nice to see Virat's journey. I mean, I've seen it. Obviously, when I first played, he was a youngster coming through, and then I was not really involved in the team as such. I watched it from the outside with a lot of admiration to what he's done and what he's continues to achieve. And then now to be able to get to know him a little bit over the last sort of 18 months, to interact with him, to get to know him, and get to know him personally as well. It's been good fun. I've really enjoyed it. I've learnt a lot from him, so in a lot of ways, I've really enjoyed it, and I hope he has as well.
वेस्ट इंडीज़ के खिलाफ क्वींस पार्क ओवल में दोनों मुल्कों के बीच 100वां टेस्ट मैच उनकी टीम के लिए क्या मायने रखता है? इस ऐतिहासिक ओकेज़न की क्या मायने हैं? इस पर सुनिए राहुल द्रविड़ का जवाब। बड़ा दिलचस्प उन्होंने जवाब दिया।
Yeah, it's a truly, it's a really great occasion to play 100 test matches between the India and the West Indies, two great cricketing nations, really proud cricketing countries, have been very successful cricketing nations as well. Some great cricketers have played over these 100 test matches. Some great test matches, great passion for the game in both parts of the world, in the Caribbean as well as in India. A great love for each other's players. I mean, I know growing up, really looking up to and admiring and following the exploits of the great West Indian players when I was a young kid. I know how respected and loved we are as an Indian team when we come to the Caribbean, having been here as a player and as a coach. A really special occasion and a lovely occasion to be a part of.
राहुल द्रविड़ को ब्रायन लारा के साथ मैंने मैच से पहले काफ़ी देर तक बातचीत करते हुए देखा। दोनों खिलाड़ियों के बीच आपस में काफ़ी सम्मान है। पिछले बार ब्रायन लारा ने उनको अपने घर खाने पे बुलाया था। इसके अलावा वेस्ट इंडीज़ के कोच काफ़ी शेयर करते हैं यहाँ पर उनके साथ बातचीत करते हुए। और वेस्ट इंडीज़ की टीम जो है काफ़ी पॉपुलर है भारत में और बहुत लोग चाहते हैं। राहुल द्रविड़ से मैंने ये सवाल पूछा कि ये भारतीय कोच की तरह नहीं, एक गेम के लवर की तरह, जिस तरह से आपने देखा है वेस्ट इंडीज़ क्रिकेट को, वहाँ पर जिस तरह से गिरावट आई है, वर्ल्ड कप में क्वालिफाई नहीं कर पाए हैं, पहले टेस्ट मैच में बुरी तरह से हारे हैं, टेस्ट क्रिकेट में भी उनका स्तर गिरा हुआ है, इन सब बातों से उन्हें कितना दर्द होता है। मैंने बोला कि आप बताइए ऐसी चीज़ें क्या गलत है। बहुत सारे लोग बहुत सारी चीज़ें कह रहे हैं कि वेस्ट इंडीज़ की क्रिकेट ख़त्म हो गई है।
I mean, I would firstly I'd like to say I think the West Indian Test team has had a really good record over the last couple of years. I mean, I think before this series they had lost only one of the last 6 series I think that they had played in the Caribbean. So, I think we need to put things in perspective as well. While yes, I think the pressure and the challenge that the current generation of West Indian players face is they always get compared to the great West Indian sides of the 80s and the 90s, of the late 70s and the 80s and the 90s, or some of the teams in the 50s and the 60s. And that's not an easy comparison for anyone. To compare your team against a legendary team like the one that Clive Lloyd led or Viv Richards led, I think is going to be tough for anyone. It's not going to be easy. Having said that, yes, I think while it's really nice to see a team like Netherlands qualify for the World Cup, and they have done it, they've deserved it, and my congratulations to them. And it's going to be exciting to see them in the World Cup, and they truly deserve to be there because they won the competition, or they came second in the competition fair and square. The not having the West Indies there, as inaugural champions of the team in the first 2 years, and especially the special connection that they have to India, well, connection in a sense that it was the West Indies that India was able to beat in 1983, which signaled in some ways the resurgence of Indian cricket, or the start of a really great era of cricket in India, both from a viewership, popularity point of view. 83 was a big landmark moment for Indian cricket, and especially for a young kid like me growing up. I was 10 years old and watching that game. So the West Indies in some ways has a huge history and legacy at World Cups. To not have them there will certainly be a loss, but that's the way things go, And as it will be disappointing for the West Indies, it will be a great celebration for the fact that cricket is growing in other parts of the world. Yes, from a West Indies perspective, I can sense, and people have spoken about the disappointments that they do feel. But I think one of the great things about the people here in the West Indies and in the Caribbean is just their love of the sport. And how they are keen to get behind and still rally around, the West Indies in spite of the difficult situations that at times they do face. I don't see any dearth of talent here. I see great talent. I see great ability, and I'm sure that just with the right kind of maybe emphasis on infrastructure and resources, I don't see why West Indies cricket can't go back to the glory days. I'm no expert. And I think there are other great experts who will probably be able to give a better answer. It was fantastic to see someone like Brian Lara with the team. I know he's been getting involved in a small way, in his own way. But people like him, I'm sure, have much more knowledge and much more idea of what they can do to help resurrect the West Indies. People like Lara and Bishop and stuff are much more knowledgeable than me. So I wouldn't want to get into what they need to do.
क्या कंडीशन, हालात और नतीजे को देखते हुए प्लेइंग 11 में किसी बदलाव की संभावना है? राहुल द्रविड़ ने कहा नहीं.
Not really. I think the team we had picked for the last game covered us in all the bases. We had 3 fast bowlers and we had a couple of real high quality experienced spinners. If anything, if the wicket we felt would turn appreciably more, then we had the option of going with 3 spinners, which we have in the past. But I don't think. I think the team that we've got actually balances us out really well, and gives us the opportunity to play on any conditions that we are up against. So Wicket might be slightly different to the one we played in Dominica, but I don't see us, making too many changes unless we're forced to.
टीम इंडिया का कोच बनने से पहले राहुल द्रविड़ ने अंडर 19 टीम के साथ काफ़ी काम किया है, इंडिया ए के साथ काम किया है और इत्तेफाक की बात है कि अंडर 19 के खिलाड़ी चाहे वो यशस्वी जायसवाल हों या फिर शुभमन गिल हो, तमाम ऐसे युवा खिलाड़ी जो हैं अब सीनियर टीम का हिस्सा है। और भारतीय क्रिकेट में इस वक्त एक दिलचस्प फेज चल रहा है कि कैसे जो दिग्गज खिलाड़ी हैं वो धीरे धीरे टेस्ट टीम से वापस जा रहे हैं और नए युवा खिलाड़ी आ रहे हैं। तो इस ट्रांजिशन पीरियड को किस तरह से देखते हैं राहुल द्रविड़, ये उनसे पूछा गया।
Yeah, I think it's a tribute to our system, the domestic system. It's a tribute to just the environment around the team, that a lot of young players are able to come in and perform straight away when they come into the Indian team. So a lot of credit of that should also go to the domestic system, producing these kind of players, especially in the batting department, and also just the relaxed environment that the team here has been able to create, that allows young players to come in and express themselves. So, it's nice from our perspective as a coach for me to be able to see young players come in and perform straight away and do really well, whether it's Yashasvi in the last game or the way Shubman has grown over the last 6 to 8 months. Even just seeing the way Ishan came in and kept in the last game in a difficult wicket, he did a really good job. So there's been a lot of young players we've seen even in one days and T20s who've come through really well. And so, yeah, credit to that, to our domestic system, to our NCA, and a lot of other people who can make that possible for us. So, yeah, really happy about that, really glad to see that. And I know that people like Jaiswal and Gill will be faced with other tougher challenges and more challenges as they go on and they play more cricket. Teams will start getting to know them better. I think even in a test match, we'll see the West Indies will probably come up with tactics and strategies. Having seen Jaiswal in the last test match, they'll respond to that. And the challenge for Jaiswal is to respond to the tactics and the strategies that the West Indies are going to come up with in this game. Because today, I think as a young player, once you get known and once you start performing well, teams start planning and preparing for you better. So you need to respond to that as well. So yeah, looking forward to that, but really excited to see his talent and to see how well he performed and just the way he adapted. I was really pleased to see that he was willing to play an attacking game when required, but also knuckle down and be defensive and work hard for his runs when it's required. And as a coach, nothing pleases you more than that.
वेस्ट इंडीज़ को पहले टेस्ट मैच में बेहद आसानी से 3 दिनों के अंदर ही एक पारी से हराने के चलते हर किसी को लगता है कि दूसरे टेस्ट मैच में भी जीत महज औपचारिकता है। हालांकि कुछ जो अहम खिलाड़ी हैं उनके लिए टेस्ट मैच काफ़ी मायने रखता है, लेकिन राहुल द्रविड़ जो कभी भी किसी मैच को हल्के में नहीं लेते हैं, ना किसी विरोधी को हल्के में लेने।
Yeah, it's behind us a long time ago. It was, no, I don't think we'll be complacent. I have enough confidence in this team, and I know them now for the last 18-20 months that complacency is not a factor that would affect us. We understand the fact that the West Indies will be keen and hurting and keen to bounce back. We respect that, we know that, but we'll not be complacent. We'll start from zero all over again, and we'll look to execute our plans and play to the standards of cricket that we know, and hopefully that should be good enough.
आज ही के दिन भारत और पाकिस्तान का एशिया कप में मुकाबला होगा। संभावित है 3 मुकाबले होंगे और राहुल द्रविड़ ने देखा था ऑस्ट्रेलिया में ये जश्न की तस्वीरें, माहौल, और उन्हें पता है कि वर्ल्ड कप में भी मुकाबले हैं, लेकिन एशिया कप एक बड़ा टूर्नामेंट है, वहाँ पाकिस्तान के साथ 3 मुकाबले। इस पर क्या कहना है? राहुल द्रविड़ हमेशा कैरिड अवे नहीं होता, उन्होंने पहले ही कह दिया कि 3 मुकाबले कैसे कह रहे हैं, पहले तो एक ही मुकाबला है। तो सुनिए भारत पाकिस्तान मुकाबले के बारे में, एशिया कप के बारे में उनसे पूछा गया तो कोच द्रविड़ का टिपिकल संयमित जवाब क्या रहा?
I think the schedule is out, and you have to qualify for the Super Fours to play Pakistan 3 times. So one step at a time. I don't believe in counting my chickens too much. I want to play one game at a time. I know we're going to play Pakistan and Nepal in the first 2 games. We need to focus on that. We need to play good cricket. We need to win those games and then see where the tournament goes. If we get the opportunity to play them 3 times, I think that's fantastic. That means that we reach the final of the tournament, and hopefully Pakistan has reached the final as well, and that will be a great team, great contest, and great for us. And we certainly aim to do that. We certainly want to play right up to the final. We want to win that final. but we also need to take the first 2 steps before we do that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.